Hi, I'm Nancy from the Turk 2000 channel, and today I'm going to show you how to do a necklace that we call the funky knotting necklace. It's basically knotting, silk knotting, but it's done with 2 strands. And if you've ever done knotting before, and knotting pearls or knotting semi-precious, knotting anything that has to be very precise, your tension, your gauge, your spacing, everything has to be perfect. In this project, it's much more forgiving. You're gonna like it. We love it. And the finished product is awesome. It's also good because it uses up those leftovers that you might have, no matter what kind of bead they are, whether it's a glass bead, a pearl bead, crystals, little flowers, petals, leaves, whatever you have that's left over and you're like, what can I do with this that's going to make sense, that's going to be pretty? We use this necklace for all those beads. And it has a lot of different variations, so you can be creative with it. It's not going to box you in whatsoever. I have prepared today to show you 4 different necklaces that will have a little bit of variance in the size, in the shape, in the amount of beads, and how I do them. Pretty much we don't use seed beads in this project, but one of the boards that I set up does have seed beads because you need it to turn on, and you'll see. I will start you off with the necklace, the how-to, but before I do that, I'm going to show you 3 of the boards, the way they're set up, so you can get an idea of all the different possibilities that this necklace has for you. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be fun, and we'll get started in a second. So for my first funky knotted necklace to show you, starting with some grays, and I have some gray freshwater pearls, and then I have 2 4mm Swarovski crystal bicones. One of them is a gray opal AB, one of them is a crystal double AB. And for my anchor bead, the bead that's going to go on both strands of my silk, using a 6mm bicone crystal double AB. So to start, this is what the necklace is going to look like as we proceed down. It's very viney looking, it's a very forgiving project, and it's worked on 2 strands of the griffin silk. And the silk in this, because it is exposed in parts, it does become part of your colorway. So it acts very much like a bead in that, so you can kind of get an idea. So let's start by taking our thread, our 2 strands of silk, and I bunched them up for this, so I'm going to have to work out the kinks. The thing about the griffin silk is that there are needles attached to the ends of the silk, so that you don't have to add a needle to this project. So let me get to the end, let you take a look at it. Let's see here. Almost there. Almost there. Working through. And when you put down these projects and they're not done, you get knots where you don't want them. So you have to kind of play with them a little bit, which is what I'm doing here. And we'll get these out in no time. But let's see here. There's 1, there's 2. Okay, so your griffin silk is going to come. I've already taken it off the card. I've already started so you can get an idea. But if you take a look at your silk, the needles are built right into these silk, and we're working with a number 6 or a size 6. So on my funky knotted necklace, the last thing I put on was one of my anchors. The anchor goes on both strands, and you knot on either side of your anchor bead. To knot, you're going to use the only tool you need in this whole project, which is a knotting tweezer. It's a 5-inch long tweezer, very pointy. It's very much like an awl at the end, but you can both stab it, grab, and then you can also grab it and yank. So it's very functional. So to do the funky knotting on this one, you separate your strands after you have on your anchor bead, and then on one strand I put, let's take a look. On one strand I put the pearl and one of my crystals. So on this strand I'm going to put my pearl and one of my crystals. And we're going to pull it all the way up. All right, it's almost positioned. Now I'm going to take the other strand, and on that one I used the gray opal on the bottom, so on the other strand I'm going to put the gray opal on the top. On this necklace you want to alternate a little bit top bottom. Left right orientation doesn't matter because the necklace is going to twist, but you want to mix up the up down, because otherwise if you do it all the same, when you're wearing the necklace, one side will be right side, the other side will be upside down, and we don't want that. We want to look good. So here are my two crystals. There they are, and I'm going to slide them down. So I have my two crystals on my one strand, and then I have on the other strand the pearl and the crystal. Now I'm going to pull them together and form a knot. I'm just going to make an overhand knot on my left hand non-dominant. I'm going to make a knot around it, pull it through, and there's my loop with the two strands. If you've ever done knotting, this is going to be easy for you. If you haven't, you might be a little cautious. All right, so now I'm going to grab my two strands together, using it as a tweezer, and slide the others down, 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 till they come right around. Well, this one's going to give me a little bit of trouble. So we're going to loosen it up a little bit. There we go. And now I'm holding my two strands right where I want that knot to go. And now I'm going to use it as a tweezer to tighten it up. And I've just added one more section. So now I have a knot. The next thing that goes down is my anchor bead, which is this bead, my 6mm crystal, right across there. So let's put that on. For this one, you have to put it on both of your strands of silk. So I'm going to take my anchor bead, my 6mm crystal, and put it on both strands. So pull the needle through. And when you're doing this necklace, your anchor beads, crystals make wonderful anchor beads because the holes are all big enough to accommodate the two strands. Glass beads make a very good anchor bead. The only thing that really doesn't is a freshwater pearl, because most holes are too small in a freshwater pearl to accommodate both strands, both needles, both strands. So try to avoid that. It's just going to make your life easier. Put the pearls on the side, because the pearls in this just give it a wonderful look. So now I have my anchor bead. I have the knot on one side. Now I need a knot on the other side. So I'm going to make it the same way. I'm going to form a loop over my non-dominant hand. There's my little loop. Put my tweezers through the loop and grab those two strands right at the base of the anchor bead, and now tighten up my knot around the tweezers so that it falls right where I want it to, right under that anchor bead. Pull out the tweezers, then grab both strands and push that knot up. So I've done a little section on that so you can get the feel for how you actually do it. I'm going to show you another board now with another colorway just to give you another idea, and try to avoid a knot in this one since I'm going to finish it. Okay. This second colorway was all purples, and on this one I used violet colored thread, and I used a 4mm purple velvet AAB bicone, and this lovely little round flat faceted Swarovski. It's tipped drilled, so it's going to stand up a little. If you look at how it sets in here, it has a little dimension to it. It stands up. It's a vintage bead that is no longer available. They've changed it. It was a 6200 and they've discontinued that, but we have quite a nice stash of them, and these are wonderful in this necklace. The other bead I'm using is a freshwater pearl, and the fourth bead is amethyst. It's just a 6mm amethyst, and the amethyst in this necklace is my anchor bead, and you can kind of get a look at what I did here, where we'll just start with this one. We have an anchor bead, a knot. We put on the 6200 on that side, the 4mm bicone on that same side, and the pearl stands alone on this side. So on the next one, I reversed the order of the crystals, left the pearl by itself. On the next one, again, reversed the crystals and put the pearl by itself. And here again is my anchor bead. Anchor beads, again, they get knotted on either side, so it holds this little station, if you want to call it, in place. So it has a nice flow to it. It's very viney looking, very pretty, very delicate. You can make it any length you want. They're just a beautiful necklace. Okay, the third board that I have today is one where I've used quite a few flowers and leaves, which we have a lot of. So I've got yellow flowers, violet flowers, more of these 6200 green and blue flowers, leaves, freshwater pearls. And on this one, we need seed beads. So let me dump out a few of those for you. You need a seed bead, or you could use a crystal if you wanted to, a small crystal, because when you put on your flowers, you need to have an anchor bead to space back through the flower. If the flower is an up-down through the center, like these are, they have the hole in the center of the flower, so you have to bring your needle up, turn on the bead, and come back through it. My anchor bead on this is a shank drilled or a base drilled, so it doesn't come up and down through the flower. It goes through the bottom, so it makes it as a very pretty as an anchor bead throughout this. So this will be a very pretty one. Again, it's using all little flowers and leaves that we had accumulated, enough to make a necklace. On this, I haven't decided how long it's going to be. When I run out of all the beads, I will stop. But if you notice, like say for instance, the yellow should be easy for you to see. That's not in every station. So there's no yellow in the first station. There's my anchor, anchor, there's one. Anchor, anchor, I didn't put one there. Anchor, anchor, I didn't put one there. I'm spacing out my flowers so that it's going to have a very pretty effect at the end. Okay, and then my fourth board is a board that I haven't even started the necklace. I got it together so you can, let's see. So you can, I'll start it with you so you can see how you actually start. For this one, I had two color choices because I'm using fuchsia crystals, rose crystals, fuchsia pearls, apple green pearls, olivine crystals, and some more of the 6200s in rose. So I really could have gone with either silk, the green or jade, or the rose colored. I think they call this dark pink, actually. You can see they're both size 6s. It's a griffin silk. But I think for this one, I'm going to go with the green. This combination in the store sells wonderfully. It looks beautiful with so many things. It's ridiculous. So the pink, it's really just to show you that your silk is an option for a lot of these. You can change, add another color if you want. But we're going to go with the green. So you need 2. So you need 2 packages of the silk. So we're going to open up the package. And the first thing you do is, let's see, find your needle. There it is. And you want to release the needle from the card. Then let the card just fall until you get to the end. You take off all the silk, and you can see it's just twirling, 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 twirling till the end. Take off the card, and now we're just going to lay it down and do the same thing with the second one. Take it out of the package, find the needle. Once we find the needle, then we start to unwind the silk. And again, we let it twirl, untwirl here. Till the end. And now we have the end, 2 strands. At the other end are going to be my needles. But you're going to take the 2 ends of your silk, and it's quite a long piece of silk. You're going to be able to get several necklaces out of these. And you're going to form a knot. So just take the 2 together, form a knot, put a little bit of glue or nail polish on it, and then put it into something that's called a clamshell. Clamshell, it looks like a clam. It's got a little hole between the 2 clam shells, and then it's got a little hook for you to attach your clasp to. So we're going to take our silk, go back to the beginning of it, with our needles. So here's the needles, both of them, and we're going to put it into the belly of the clam. There's 1 in, 2 in. Well, 1's in. Let's get the second one in there. There they are. Okay, we have 2 of them in the clamshell. Now we have to pull them all the way through the clamshell till we get to the knot. And there it is. And you can cut this knot off now, later, it doesn't matter. You can work with the clamshell opened. Eventually you're going to close that shut and it will hide your silk. And then you'll put the nail polish on or the glue, and that will bulk up the knot so it won't come through, and it will also hold it better. So now we're ready to begin. Once you have your clamshell on, now you can start with your anchor bead. The first bead you put on is the anchor bead. So we're going to take both strands together and put both needles into, for this one we're using an 8mm Swarovski crystal. Both needles are through it. Now we're going to pull it through. There's my bead. Both strands going through. Make sure there's no little loop like that's a loop. You want to tighten that up. Okay. Put it right up next to your clamshell, and you're ready to knot at the other end of it. There's my little loop. Take my knotting tweezers, go through the loop, and again, grab my 2 strands right at the base of the Swarovski crystal and grab the silk and slide that knot so that it gets right into place. Pretty tight, but not extremely tight. Pull out your tweezers, and now you're going to grab them and tighten it up. And you're ready to begin. So for this one, let me neaten up my piles a little bit. Seem to have made a mess. Here they are. You've noticed probably that each board I've showed you has a different amount of beads on it. You can vary this up any way you want to. You can make sections. You can do, this is just such a wonderfully creative and forgiving project. You're going to love it. Your knots don't have to be perfect. Your spacing doesn't have to be perfect. And you're still going to end up with a gorgeous necklace. I mean, you can just kind of look at these colors and get an idea of how gorgeous this one's going to be. So I'm using an 8mm Swarovski crystal as my anchor. So it's going to be a little bulkier than the other one I used, a 6mm. This is the biggest one I have. Okay, so we're going to separate it out. The other little pitfall that you can have with the freshwater pearls is not all of them will fit even on one strand. So you want to test them. I tested some of these. Some fit, some don't. So if they don't fit, don't yank them so hard that they break your silk. Just try another one if it doesn't work. So let me find the hole on this one. And let's see. Okay, this one is not going to go on. So we're going to put this one aside and we'll try another one. That one's not going to go on. Well, so you get the idea that not all freshwater pearls are going to fit on. So let's start with this, for the sake of getting this done, let's start with another one. Let's start with the Swarovski crystal, which has uniform, wonderful quality control. And we'll try with an apple green tip drilled and see if we can get that to go on. There we go. They both went on. Okay, so we have one side with the fuchsia and a green. So now we have to figure out something for the other strand. Let's see. How about, since we have a pink and then a green, let's do a green and then a pink. So let's do olive green. And one of my vintage pieces. And slide those all the way down. So that they're in play with, so you can kind of get a look and see how sparkly and pretty. The pearls kind of give it a little more earthiness to it. So now I don't like to have huge spaces, but you can make the spaces as big as you want on your silk. You can put a knot down here, you can put a knot up here, you can put it anywhere you want, depending on your components, how many you have, just in general, if you want it to be a tighter and bulkier, if you want it to be thinner. So I'm going to put mine right about where my thumbnail is on it. So I'm going to grab it, make a loop, pull it through, and I'm going to grab the silk where I want my knot to be, which is right there. That's where I'm grabbing it. You can see that. And now I'm going to pull that knot till it surrounds the tip of my knotting tweezers. Pull out the knotting tweezers and tighten that up. Boop. It's tightened. There we go. So now I have my first knot, and I'm going to put my anchor bead on. knot at the end of that, separate it out, and then put on some more of these in play, same ones, and just keep repeating it. When you're all done at the other end, you have to put on, after your last anchor bead, don't knot after your last anchor bead. Just put the anchor bead, slide on back end first, your clamshell, and then form the knot into the clamshell once it's already on your strand. Same thing, then put a little dab of nail polish or glue and cut it off, and you're all set. I hope this necklace is an easy necklace. A lot of steps, it's difficult to get it all on camera. I hope you were able to see it enough so that you try it, because it's a fun, wonderful necklace. Great looking, pretty, colors play, great way to use up beads. I hope you liked it. And I loved showing you how to do it, and I look forward to showing you something next time. Thank you.